Welcome back. In this video, we will learn and understand about SQL functions. Functions are very important in SQL Server. So before we create our own functions, first let's understand what is a function is. So function basically can be parameterized and can be zero parameterized. It means it can take a number of parameters so that it can make use of it, and then it also can be without passing any parameters. So we will also see three things today. One is advanced functions, second is date time functions, third is string related functions. So before we create our own, let's understand the uses of what is already given and offered by SQL Server. So there are many functions which makes our life easy. So if those functions were not there, we have to create those functionality and we have to write those for every time whenever we work in any project. So many function is already given us as a gift. So we are going to go through step by step all the different types of functions. Once we understand and comfortable with these functions, in the next video, we will create our own functions. So right now, this video is just about consuming different types of functions and how we can use it so that you will get some understanding. And you also need to learn, we also need to learn how to leverage, which is already offered by SQL Server. So it's like if I'll say A plus B becomes C, right? So I want some name where I will pass open bracket and then I'll give supply A value and then comma B value, and then this returns me A plus B. That is nothing but C, right? So function also can calculate many different things, can do some operations, calculation, expression. So for these kind of uses, we will use functions. So now let's see on the screen and what are the different functions we can leverage from Microsoft SQL Server. So now in here, this is an example of an employee table, and we are going to use many different advanced functions. So let's get started. So just let's say we are referring right now in an employee table, and then there are 4 rows. You can refer the blog in the given link, and you can create this table and dump this data directly. So the first advanced function which you can see is call as. So in this call as function, what it does, so you've seen that when we do join, when we don't supply something and by default that value get inserted with null if you won't supply a value while in insert statements. In such cases, instead of null, if you want to represent or provide the another values, in that case, we use isNull or call as function. So call as function basically takes n number of parameters, and whichever is null, it try to give the next. It checks if the next value is having the next set of parameter is having or holding the value or not, and then it goes to the next if it is still null. So it keeps checking until it finds not nullable value, and then it returns. So function is, this is a system defined function, means which is Microsoft SQL Server has written. So in this function, it's very simple. We can use call as open bracket and we can supply whatever number of variables, number of columns, maybe first name, comma, last name, comma, middle name. If first name is empty, then last name, if last name is empty, at least middle name is supplied by the users or not, right? So we can check 3 things from the employee tables. Okay. So this is how we can make use of it. Now, another functions, there are 5 different aggregated functions. Some minimum, maximum, average. So these kind of things which we already practice in our group by videos. In case you have not seen, please go and you can watch that video. That's very helpful for understanding. And there we were compared the data with Excel versus SQL Server. Okay. So basically average function is just to calculate the average from all the salaries in the table and trying to get the average salary. So this is the average. Now here current user. So current user is also a function, but it does not take brackets. So You don't need to supply something. So this is what I was referring in initial of our video, that sometimes you don't need to supply any parameter. It does not require it. So you can simply just use the name, and you can say it's in the pink color. Select current user means the person who has logged in, that will get returned. Now you must be thinking where this function is actually got created, right? So when you install SQL Server, when you create database, you remember in our first video we have seen there are 4 different databases: system, model, MSDB, TempDB, remember, right? So when we click and right click, or we say new database, or we write a script, create database name, a new database copy is given to us, which is nothing but copied from a model database. When it happens, all these functions are also referred and comes to us so that we can use them without creating them. So it's a default functionality. It's created and have it ready, is it prepared, and keep it ready for our uses. Okay. Now let's see some more. So the another very interesting function which they launched, I think maybe a couple of years ago. This was very much in need in SQL Server, which we have with IIF. So in IIF, it takes 3 parameters with the open bracket. In the first thing, it takes the condition, which checks true and false. If it is true, then second value or second parameters or second positioning value will get returned. If this condition is false, then this will get returned. So for this example, we have comparing if the salary is greater than 50,000, then it's a higher side. And otherwise, if it is false, then it's a lower side. So we are expecting one value in a new column. There we can use IIF. It is very much useful for many different places where we were struggling in our last 10 years from 2000 to 2012, I guess. There we were struggling to find something like that. For that, we have to write case statements, we have to do some other operations. But once this function is there, it makes your life very easy. After 2014 or 16, this is available. This function is available in SQL Server, but it was not available in 2008 and in the lower environments. Okay, so let's see. So it's producing one new column value. Okay, let's see something else. So is null is pretty old. And what it does is, if the first parameters or the first supplied value is null, then it returns the second. So it's also checking without having the if here. It's checking if it is null, then it should return this. Otherwise, it will return this. You see. Okay, perfect. So is null function is nothing but is very commonly used wherever you see nulls and you wanted to replace with something, you simply use this. But nowadays, people and interview questions are more depends on call as function, which we have seen on the top. This is why we have given on the top priority when we explain the null handling null functionality. Okay. So is numeric. Basically, is numeric is also important nowadays. It basically checks us the supply value. Maybe we are having employee informations and it's an open form that people are submitting the data, and we want to check it that this supplied value by the UI or front end or from any other third-party vendors, are they supplying in numbers or string or varchar or characters? So how do we check it? Using this function is numeric function. Okay, you can supply here. If it is actually a numeric, it will say true. Otherwise, if it is not, if you put ABC in between and alphanumeric, then it will say no. It will return you 0. Okay, or maybe negative, but not 1. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, you can see here we have supplied a character here, the name, and we are saying is numeric. Is this name is numeric? No, it's not. So then it's returning 0. Okay, now you can simply see where is numeric age equal to 1, right? So it's just one example that we are using in the where condition. We can use function in the where condition, select statement. That's the another advantage of having a function around us. We can use it wherever we want, select in the where class. Okay, so now let's see. This is not important. Session properties. Yeah, session system user is important. Which current user has logged in? It will return the name. So in the real environment, many users, actually perform many actions, right? So we have to capture which user perform which action. So these kind of functions will help us to also maintain the log and audits. Okay. Yeah, this is another interesting thing. Username. The username is little bit different from the system users, but when you install SQL Server in your local, it's produce the same. Sometimes you need, when you work actually project, it refers to your domain name and then username. So it depends what environment you are in. Okay, so now I think these are the interview questions. Please refer this blog for if you wanted to read all these question answers related to what can be asked in the interviews. Please make sure to check out this blog, which is available on our website, Learn Super Easy. Okay, the link is below. Okay, now let me go back to, okay. So date function is nothing but if we have to basically deal with the date. So date part, I hope you remember our data type session. In that session, we have learned how date is also divided into 3 different parts: date, time, and the time zone, right? So we have 3 things when we talk about date. So how we can handle it, in how many ways we can fetch and break it down and pick it up, whatever we need from the date. So there are a lot of functions which can help us. Okay, suppose whenever you buy some subscription, Netflix or something, it comes with an expiry, right? After 3 months or 1 month, it will be over and then you will be charged again. Suppose you placed an order and after 3 days, your order will get delivered, right? So sometimes we need a future date. Sometimes we need the last 6-month date, right? So how do we handle, how SQL Server can help us? So there are many things which can help us to identify. So basically, if you just wanted to know what is the date right now, so using the get date, select get date. So you can see this is the 0 parameterized function. It does not require any, we don't need to supply anything. It's just an open bracket, close bracket, and get date. It returns the today's current date and time. You can see. Okay, now date aid, right? So date aid function is nothing but, suppose from today's date you are working at Netflix and your person has enrolled and made the payment and you wanted to set the expiry of his subscription. How do you do that? How do you get the date after 30 days from today? The subscription can be bought on any day, right? It's an open business, it's an open application, it's a running environment of websites. So how do you calculate the future date? By adding them into 30 days or maybe 1 month, something you wanted to add, 3 days, 1 month or something. So date add functions will help us to produce the future date and the way backward if you want it. So it works both the ways. So date add, we wanted to add year here. We want to add 1 year to this given date, 2017, August to 25th August 2017. We wanted to add 1 year. Then what date it will be? 2018, 25th August, right? Perfect. Now, in the same way, it also accepts the negative. Negative in the sense, the moment I put here -1, it's going to do now previous year, not the next year. So it takes negative and positive numbers. It's also one of the interview questions. The same function works both the side. Okay. So it's very simple. These functions are very much simple to use. It takes 3 parameters. What part you wanted to add? Month, year, day, week, quarter, so you can supply that. And then here you can supply the number of days, number of months you want to add, number of years. So it's an integer number. And then third parameter is a date. So it's divided into the 3 parts. It's a good function. Many interviews, they might give you some challenges with your SQL task. Maybe they will give you some 10 questions to do in 1 hour. They will send you the emails in. Definitely, they want you to make use of these functions, date add and something, date difference. Okay, so we'll see. Now, yeah, you can see, right? We can have -1. We can add. We can go back to the -1 week to this date, and then it will produce. The output result will produce. Okay. You can see we can even add 1 hour. Suppose we want to set some timer and our requirement is to produce after 2 hours, what will be the time and date, to the current date. So we can add 2 hours also, so you see how useful it is. Now, another very important function is date difference, means date diff in short. So basically, if you wanted to figure out and find out the difference between two dates, the difference can be in year, month, days, hours, seconds, nanoseconds, quarters, it can be anything, So based on the date part, we can identify the difference between the two dates. So using the date diff function. Okay. So you can see it takes the interval. It means what date part you wanted to get, which interval you wanted to find the difference, day, year, month, and quarter, or whatever, week. So here, second parameter is start date, means what is your start date, and the third parameter is end date. Okay, perfect. Now, the another function is date part. This is also good function. Here, suppose from the given date, we wanted to slice it and we wanted to take year. Sometimes we want to take the day. Sometimes we wanted to fetch month. So if you wanted to slice it out, specific date part from a date, then which function you have to use? Date part function. It can fetch any part of the date for you. You just need to specify what you want from the date, and then you mention it like this. You just put it date part and you say year, and then you can say that you want it year and it will give you the year. Okay. Okay, so now let's see some more. Date name. So date name is also good. That date name, day of the year. Suppose we want this one, right? So let's see. You see? It is, you must be thinking why it return numbers, right? It is a number. Which day of the year this date belongs to? Do the day has the name? Day of the week is different, which we'll see later. Day of the week is different and day of year is different. Here it will return the number. We have 365 days. In that, this is a 266 number from that given date. Okay, so let's see. Now here we need quarter. Which quarter from this date? We wanted to fetch quarter, so it will return the quarter. Then here, date name. Now we need to specify which interval we want. We want month name, that represents month from the given date. So it will fetch which month it is. It is September, and there you are, right? Date from parts. Let's see. So date from parts is nothing but here, if you can see, let's see the direct example. So here, basically we are, suppose we wanted to form a date, and that from the various part, maybe we extracted from the 3 different dates, we extracted year from one of the column, we extracted month from second column, and then day from the third column. Now we want to combine and produce the another date. In that case, this function is format the date for you. So it says, supply me 3 things. The first parameter is year, second parameter is month, third parameter is day. And it will return you supply 3 integer in the proper format, 4 numbers as a first year, and then month and day. Now it will return you as a proper date. You can see. Okay. Okay, so that's it about this one. Now let's understand. Let's see a little bit more about a string function. This is very important. Okay, so in a string function, if we have to deal with the string, definitely we have many string columns. Most of the string columns, and 30 to 40% is always numbers and numerics, but 60% or 70% data is always string or varchar, these kind of data, So these are very commonly used functions. So we have to practice those, because there are very much frequently we have to use those. Date and strings are very much commonly used functions. So make sure that you learn these things if you really wanted to make yourself comfortable in interviews and those assignments. Okay, so let's see that. So here we are starting with the substring. Substring itself is saying we wanted to out of full particular text, we wanted to slice some part and we want to retrieve that. Out of full string, we want substring. So it takes 3 parameters. First is definitely the value which you wanted to provide. So it's a column name right now. So from the product name, suppose we wanted to take from the first character to the third characters, which is nothing but PRO, right? From if you've seen the product table in our any other session, right? So substring is nothing but retrieving a specific location to location. From where you wanted to start, how many characters you want, it will return. Okay. Now concate. Concate is basically also if you want to combine A plus B plus C plus D, right? And you wanted to combine and return, you supply a number of values with the comma and in the function, and concate will return you as a combined string. So this is also very good. Suppose you wanted to combine first name space last name. So you are supplying 3 values, 3 columns from employee. So what it will do, it will combine. It will combine as a full name and then it will return you. Okay. So yeah, so here is the example. You can see first name space last name. So you can supply a number of parameters. This is very much very nice function, I can say. Yeah. The next function is length. In short, we call it LEN. So it's a full form of length, right? So suppose sometimes we wanted to know what is the supplied value, how much characters it is, how many characters it holds. So we can do some preparation, we can do some truncating if we wanted to store or we wanted to perform something. We wanted to know the length of the given string so that we wanted to take some action. So length LEN function will help us to find out the number of characters it has, the length it has. So it returns the numbers of the given string. You see? So in our product description, based on the size of that characters, it calculates and return us that particular column. Now char index. So char index is also very much, I must say, frequently used. Sometimes we wanted to search, we want to find out where that particular character is available in given string. We can give more than one character also. So it finds out where this is available in the given string. So first parameter is what you wanted to search. When you do search, Control F, you wanted to search something. In which you wanted to search in document. In the same way, you supply something, what you wanted to search, and it will search in this particular column, all the columns, all the values of that column. If it is written, then it will tell you which position it found. Index itself, it's referring that which particular positioning it found that character which you are looking for. So it's also a search technique you will be using, we'll be learning in our future videos. If you wanted to search something in the given data with use of char index, we can do that. Now replace. So by the name of replace, I think it's very easy to understand that here what we are trying to do, replace ABC with XYZ, means something, find this and replace with this. Okay. So it's a simple, you must have seen if you use Word, Excel, when you do find and replace, you find something in the given text and you replace. In the same way, SQL Server also provide you 3 things. So it says, okay, you wanted to replace something. What is the column? So first parameter is give me the full text. Give me, your column, which you wanted to look for. Second, what you wanted to search. Third, if it is found, what you wanted to replace. Okay. It's very simple. So you can see one below example. Here we are searching the category name. If it is a beverage, we are replacing this with the seafood. You can see the beverage is getting replaced with seafood. Okay, it's very simple. Now stuff. Stuff is more like replace only, but it's do a smart replace. If you see a replace function above, it actually take the string, it finds and then only it replace. But in stuff function, we don't need to worry about what to find. We are telling in stuff function, we are actually commanding, go to the line number 6 and replace one character and put it what I'm giving into the fourth parameter. So suppose the hello word with the comma here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the sixth position, there is a comma. We want this comma to be replaced with exclamation mark. And then this is the sixth position on the comma, right? And then we are saying, okay, only replace one with the given string. So it's basically stuff function is injecting in our defined indexes. It's going there and fitting our given text. So it's much more smarter than the replace. So you must know the stuff uses, So another, the last, I think one more interesting function is format. So in format function, basically we have values many different ways in our SQL Server, in our columns, in our rows, but we want to represent, when we wanted to show this data, we want to represent with some specific format. Suppose instead of date wise we wanted to represent based on the user. Suppose some numbers you wanted to represent with different format to the users, right? So let's see one of the examples. Let's say 1 to 9. Now we wanted to say, and we want to, this may be a PIN number, this may be a area code or something, and we want to maybe a phone number, maybe with the landline. So this data is coming us as a numeric, as a full numbers, like you can see 1 to 9. Now we wanted to specify hyphen so that people will know what is STD code, what is country code, and what is landline, and then phone number, right? So suppose we wanted to apply some formatting, so it looks, when it present, it looks much more friendly and easy. Okay, so you can see here we are presenting this with the hash. It means it's a symbol of formatting some value. So hash is not representing, hash is just representing that it is a desired format. It's not the hash that we replace with the hash or we replace with pound icon, right? So it's basically we are saying the number should be accept the formatting the way it is, for the numbers. Okay, so let's see this. So like this you will get, you see 1, 2, hyphen, 3, 4, hyphen, after that all the hashes will become your rest of the characters, rest of the numbers, as simple as that. So we can provide using the format function. This is also in interview question, definitely they will try to trick you with something and they might give you something that you might need to use format. You just imagine if this format is not there, how do you do that? How much code of T-SQL you have to write to do the same thing which format is doing for you just with no time, with just using and consuming the function, you see? So if you're learning a SQL Server, make sure you understand and you learn the existing capabilities and offering from the SQL Server. So you don't struggle creating or reinventing the wheel, okay? Make sure you use which is already there. After that, which is not there, you make sure you try with your own way, okay? Okay. Now you can see we can change the date format also, date in it based on the parameter we pass, US, NO, JU, So what we are trying to do here, we are saying in this different format, this date will get converted into the many different format, which you can see in the below. You see, based on the supplied, and different countries follow different cultures. And then if you mention the format, it will understand and convert that format. Okay. Replicate. So replicate is nothing but repeating that particular text, characters, whatever we want this is to replicate. Maybe we want 90, then we put 9 and we say 0, replicate 9 times, means just making a copy, or that number of times what we want. Maybe we want 4, 5 or whatever. Okay, so replicate function is simply, let me show you. You see, so this is the 13 times star we want. Here they have supplied the star. They want replicate star. They want star to be printed 10, 12, whatever sum of unit price. It's just an example. So if you have written 10, it means that 10 times this star will be appended and provided you as a string. If it is 5, then 5 times. 4, then 4 times. So replicate is nothing but making a copy n number of times based on the second parameters. Okay. You can see here. Yeah. So rtrim, ltrims are another important functions. Sometimes we receive the data which is not in a proper clean format. They are putting spaces before and after. So how do we clean the data? How do we make sure that we don't store the spaces when we store the data? That's not good. Spaces are not good. So it doesn't look good in the reports, in presenting the data. It should be proper, aligned, left, right, indentation and everything, right? So how do we clean the data, or how do we actually format it? How do we remove the space? Using rtrim. Rtrim basically referring right side, if you want to trim something on the right side. Okay. So if something space is added on the right side, then it will clear it out and it will remove the space and give you the value. Suppose something, you can see, you see the right side rtrim, if you can see that this much space is there on the right side. So it will clean out this space and only give beta cloud. Okay. You see? Same way, if there is a space you are expecting on the left hand side, then it will clear out the space from the left hand side. Then you must be thinking, if the space are on the both side, then there is a trim function. You can use both ltrim and rtrim one another after. So function can be nested. Nested means one inside another. First do the ltrim, on the top of it do one more time rtrim. So you can do the combination as well. Okay, so I think that's it. So I hope now you are a little comfortable. I hope you're a little comfortable now what different types of existing functions which we can use and make our life easy. In our next videos, we will also learn how many different types of functions we can create. As a user, how many we can create, user define, scalar, and we'll talk about it in the next sessions. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.